The moment it happened, the grocery store transformed from a mundane shopping trip into a crime scene. It started like any other day. Customers browsing aisles, cashiers scanning items, background music playing softly. The hum of the air conditioning filled the space, masking the small interactions of everyday life. But then, a voice cut through the air like a blade, and everything changed. Obinna Okafor, a Nigerian man who had been through his share of hard days, stood near the bread section, holding a shopping basket filled with just a few items, nothing more than essentials. His old, oversized shirt hung loosely over his frame, and his faded jeans bore the wear of time. He was minding his business, focused on what he came for. But to one man in that store, he looked out of place. Officer Daniels wasn't in uniform. He wasn't even on duty. But that didn't stop the deeply ingrained instinct that made him zero in on Obinna. A black man, shopping alone, dressed in clothes that weren't brand new. It didn't sit right with him. He watched from a distance, fingers twitching near the badge clipped to his belt. He had already decided something was off. He just needed an excuse. "Hey!" Daniel's voice echoed, slicing through the normalcy. A few heads turned. A woman in line paused mid-swipe of her credit card. Obinna turned, brows furrowed in confusion. "Excuse me? What are you doing here?" Daniels demanded, stepping closer. His stance was aggressive, his eyes hard with suspicion. Obinna blinked. "Buying groceries," he said simply, lifting his basket as if that alone should answer the question. Daniels wasn't satisfied. His eyes darkened. "Let me see some ID." Obinna's confusion deepened. "Why?" "Because I said so." A ripple of tension spread through the store. The manager, a round, sweaty man in a gray suit, hovered by the customer service desk, shifting nervously. A security guard, young and hesitant, stood by the entrance, unsure whether to intervene. "I don't have to show you anything," Obinna said, keeping his voice steady. Daniels's lip curled. "Oh, you do. Because I don't think you belong here." The weight of those words pressed down like a hammer. Silence fell. The only sound was the distant beeping of a register. Then, Daniels shoved him. It happened so fast that people barely processed it before Obinna stumbled backward into a shelf, knocking over a display of canned goods. Metal cans clattered, rolling in every direction. Gasps erupted around them. Obinna caught himself, breathing heavily. He stared at Daniels, heart pounding. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he asked, his voice a mix of disbelief and restrained anger. Daniels' expression twisted. "You resisting now?" Before Obinna could respond, the officer lunged, shoving him harder this time. Obinna hit the ground. His head smacked against the cold tile, a sharp pain exploding at the base of his skull. "Stop! Stop!" someone cried. A woman covered her mouth, eyes wide in horror. A phone was already out, recording. Daniels didn't stop. He was on top of Obinna in seconds, knee pressing into his chest. The weight was crushing, unbearable. "You think you can just do whatever you want?" Daniels hissed. "You think you're above the law?" Obinna gasped, struggling to breathe. I didn't do anything," he choked out. Another camera blinked red in the corner of the ceiling. The manager took a hesitant step forward. "Officer, maybe we should—" "Back off," Daniels barked. "I know how to handle criminals." And then, "Get off him, right now." The voice was deep, commanding. It cut through the chaos like a gunshot. A man pushed through the small crowd, his presence immediately shifting the atmosphere. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a sleek black tactical jacket over a fitted black turtleneck. His stance was calculated, dangerous. There was an air of authority about him that made even the most oblivious shopper recognize that this was no ordinary bystander. Daniels turned, his grip tightening on Obinna's wrist. "Who the hell are you?" The man didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a sleek black wallet. When he flipped it open, Daniels's face went pale. The badge didn't belong to a local cop. It belonged to a federal agent. Gasps rippled through the store. The manager stepped back. Even the security guard by the door straightened, recognizing the weight of the situation. Daniels stammered, I thought, get office him. Daniels hesitated for only a second longer before obeying, his hands shaking slightly. Obina coughed, struggling to sit up. The agent extended a hand, helping him to his feet. You're done, he said to Daniels, his voice cold and final. Turn around. Daniels blinked. Wait, hold on, I said turn around. A flicker of panic crossed Daniels' face. You can't arrest me, I was doing my job. The agent tightened the cuffs around Daniels' wrists with practiced efficiency. You're being detained for excessive use of force and unlawful detainment of a civilian, he said calmly. You're also under investigation for misconduct. Daniels' eyes darted around, searching for someone, anyone, to back him up. But no one moved. The manager looked away. The cashiers whispered among themselves. The customers stood in silent judgment. No one was on his side, because this time, the cameras caught everything, and this time there was no way out. But just as Obina thought it was over, just as relief started to settle in, he turned and locked eyes with the agent. And in that moment, his breath caught in his throat. He knew that face. The realization sent a chill through his spine. This wasn't the first time they had met, and the last time they did. Obina barely made it out alive. The moment Obina met the agent's eyes, his entire body went cold. The memories came rushing back like a flood. Flashes of darkness, a cold room, the sting of fists against his ribs. It had been years since that night, but the scars, both visible and hidden, remained. And now, standing before him, was the same man who had once left him for dead. Marcus, the federal agent who was now playing the role of a hero. Obina's breath quickened, his fists clenched at his sides. He wanted to speak, wanted to scream, but his mind was moving too fast, tangled between past and present. Daniels, now in cuffs, was still stammering, trying to defend himself. You can't do this! You have no idea who you're messing with! He thrashed, eyes darting wildly, but no one listened. Marcus barely spared him a glance. You have the right to remain silent, he said coldly. I suggest you use it. Daniel's face twisted with rage. I was stopping a thief. Obina took a slow step forward, locking eyes with Marcus. His voice was low, steady, but laced with something dark. Tell them, Marcus, he said. Tell them who you really are. A flicker of something, shock, maybe recognition, passed through Marcus's eyes. You know him? Someone whispered in the crowd. The question hung heavy in the air. Marcus didn't answer right away. His grip on Daniels's cuffs tightened. Not here, he muttered. We need to go. Obina's jaw clenched. Number. You don't get to walk away. The energy in the store shifted. People who had been just casual observers were now invested in something bigger. Phones were still recording. The tension was suffocating. Marcus exhaled sharply. Obina, now is not the time. Obina took another step. Then when, Marcus? Huh? When do we talk about what you did? Marcus's face remained unreadable, but something in his posture changed. Rigid, bracing. Daniel seized the moment. Wait! His eyes darted between them. What's happening here? What does he mean? Obina ignored him. His voice lowered, but the weight behind his words was heavier than ever. You're not the good guy, Marcus. More murmurs rippled through the store. The manager, sweating profusely, finally found his voice. I think we should take this outside, he stammered. Marcus glanced at the cameras overhead, then at the phones still held high. He was trapped. Without another word, he gripped Daniel's cuffs tighter and started dragging him toward the exit. But Obinna wasn't done. "You left me for dead," he said, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. Marcus froze mid-step. The silence was deafening. Daniels blinked, confused. What the hell is he talking about? The weight of the moment pressed down on everyone in the store. Marcus turned slowly, his jaw tight. "Not here," he repeated. Obinna shook his head. "Then let's go somewhere where we can talk, where there aren't cameras, where we can settle this the way it should have been settled years ago." Marcus held his gaze. It was a challenge. Finally, he nodded. The air outside was thick with tension. The parking lot, once just a place for hurried shoppers and idle cars, now felt like a battleground. Daniels was shoved into the back of an unmarked black SUV, still ranting about how none of this was legal. But no one was paying attention to him anymore. Obinna stood with his hands in his pockets, his shoulders squared. Marcus leaned against the car, arms crossed. They hadn't spoken since stepping outside. "Talk," Marcus said finally. Obinna scoffed. "Now you want to talk?" Marcus's expression remained unreadable. "You think you're the only one who suffered?" Obinna laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Oh, so we're playing that game?" He took a step forward. "Tell me, Marcus, did you get your ribs broken? Did you get left in a warehouse, bleeding out, wondering if you'd make it to morning?" Marcus's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond. Obinna continued. "I remember everything. The cuffs, the cold floor, the taste of my own blood, and you just stood there." Marcus exhaled slowly. "I wasn't in control of that situation." "Bullshit." Marcus ran a hand over his face as if wiping away something he didn't want to feel. "I didn't have a choice." Obinna's eyes darkened. "You always had a choice, and you chose to do nothing." For the first time, Marcus's face cracked, just slightly. A flicker of something behind his eyes. Regret. "You were supposed to be dead," he said quietly. Obinna's chest tightened. "I know." A beat of silence passed between them. Daniels, still in the car, suddenly slammed his fists against the window. "Hey, someone better tell me what the hell is going on." Neither man acknowledged him. Marcus inhaled deeply, then spoke. "That night, it wasn't supposed to go that way. You were never supposed to be in that warehouse." "But I was," Obinna said bitterly. Marcus met his gaze. "I know, and I couldn't stop it." Obinna studied him. "Why not?" Marcus hesitated, then finally answered. "Because I wasn't the one giving the orders." That stopped Obinna in his tracks. "Then who was?" Marcus's eyes flickered toward the car, toward Daniels. Obinna frowned. "Him?" Marcus nodded. "And others." The weight of those words settled over them like a storm cloud. Obinna exhaled. "So all this time, he was dirty?" Marcus nodded again. "More than you know." Obinna swallowed hard. The rage inside him simmered, but now it was mixed with something else, something darker. "What now?" he asked. Marcus straightened. "Now, we make sure he never gets the chance to do it again." Obinna met his gaze, and for the first time, there was an understanding between them. A different kind of war had just begun. Marcus reached for the car door, but before he could open it, Daniels lunged forward, slamming his shoulder into Marcus's chest. The force sent them both stumbling. Obinna barely had time to react before Daniels ripped something from Marcus's belt, his gun. Shoppers screamed, people ducked, a woman dropped her groceries. Daniels' hands shook, his eyes wide and wild. "I swear to God, I'll do it!" he shouted, pointing the gun between Marcus and Obinna. "Put it down!" Marcus ordered. Daniels laughed hysterically. "You think I'm stupid?" His fingers twitched. His breath came in short gasps. Obina's heartbeat pounded in his ears. "Daniels," Marcus tried again, his voice calm. "You're not walking away from this." Daniels's eyes darted around, searching for an escape. "You don't get it, do you?" he spat. "This doesn't end with me. There are others, people who will make sure you both disappear." Marcus's face remained unreadable. "Then let's make sure you talk before that happens." Daniel's grip tightened on the trigger. Obina moved first. In one swift motion, he lunged, grabbing Daniel's wrist and twisting it with everything he had. The gun went off. A deafening bang! Pain exploded in Obina's shoulder, white-hot and searing. Marcus tackled Daniels to the ground, forcing the gun from his grip. Within seconds, he had him pinned, cuffed, face pressed against the pavement. Obina stumbled back, gripping his arm, his breath ragged. The bullet had only grazed him, but the pain was blinding. Marcus knelt over Daniels, breathing hard. "It's over." Daniels was shaking. His face was pale. "You think so?" he panted. "You think they'll let you get away with this?" Marcus didn't respond. He just tightened the cuffs. Obina exhaled shakily, his vision blurring slightly. Sirens wailed in the distance. More were coming. Daniels had been right about one thing. This didn't end here. But for now, this battle was won.